Hey, I'm your host, Jen Wheeler, and this is the Healthy Her podcast. I'm a teacher, author, and foodie who went from being addicted to sugar, skipping meals, and struggling to get in control of my eating, to someone who is 10 kilos down, eats all the yummy foods without restriction, and is finally in control of my hunger. I'm obsessed with helping other health-conscious women ditch the confusion and overwhelm so they can cultivate healthy eating habits and truly thrive. The Healthy Her podcast was created to give you real talk about healthy eating, as well as easy, actionable tips that fit seamlessly into your busy lifestyle. I'm not just your host. Think of me as your healthy eating hype gal, your personal cheerleader as we chat all things healthy eating, weight loss, and mindset mastery, so you can become the healthiest, happiest version of you. So if you're ready to ditch the guilt, reclaim your confidence, and unlock the very best version of you, then you're in the right place. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Healthy Her podcast. I hope that wherever you're listening to today's podcast, that it's on a nice walk, maybe in a bath, maybe sitting on the couch, chilling to some Netflix, because I always want the podcast to be a little moment of self-care that is just for you, because I know as women, it's really hard to find that time for ourselves. And I know for me, sometimes too, even at the gym and like walking on the treadmill and listening to a podcast can be really uplifting. It can really give you a good dose of motivation. And so I hope that each time that you listen to the Healthier podcast, that it is a little moment of self-care that is just for you. Now, before I jump into today's episode, don't forget to always check the show notes, because I always pop my latest resource or freebies. Like there's the Busy Gal No Prep Workday Meal Plan. You can register for my free masterclass. If you can't find them in the show notes of the podcast, you can always head over to my Instagram, the ActiveBod, and it's like at the link at the top, and it will have all of my different resources and freebies and meal plans and different things that you can try for free. So make sure you always check the show notes to check those out. And like I said, you can still register for my free masterclass, why you are not losing weight and exactly what you need to do instead. So that is still available so that you can register for that now. Okay, let's hop into today's episode. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you all about emotional eating. And the reason that I want to talk about this is because it is something that comes up a lot. It comes up a lot in the membership, in coaching calls, in my DMs, in emails, and I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding and misconceptions about emotional eating, what it is, why we do it, how to improve it, all of those kind of things. So I'm going to be breaking it all down for you in today's episode. So let's start off. Are you someone that finds yourself turning to food when you get tired, stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, when you have too much on your plate? Like, are you someone that always turns to food for support? Like, just have a think about that. And it's one of these things that you may or may not be aware that you're doing just yet. I remember this was about a month ago, one of our Hype Gal members posted in the Facebook group, and she had this massive aha moment. And she said, I've realized that I actually turn to food as comfort. I turn to food when I'm tired. I turn to food when I'm stressed. And so now that she's aware of that thing, she's now putting things in place to support her so that she can achieve her lasting weight loss success and results. So like I said, it may be something that you are doing that you're not actually aware of. So that would be my first piece of advice, is to really tune in and think, well, are you someone that turns to food when you get stressed, overwhelmed, anxious? Is food a comfort and a support for you? So is that you? Think about that as your first questions for today's episode. Now, often when we turn to food for support and comfort, it is referred to as emotional eating. And I just want to read you out like a definition of what it is. So it's the act of turning to food, often high calorie comfort foods, as a way to cope with stress, sadness, instead of eating to satisfy hunger. So when you emotionally eat, you are not eating to satisfy your hunger. You are eating high calorie comfort foods in a way to cope with stress, sadness, overwhelm, anxiousness, tiredness, juggling too many things, all of those things as women that we deal with on a daily basis. So I really want to be clear as to that's what emotional eating is. So why do we as women emotionally eat? Because this is really important. And the reason it's really important is because I can just about guarantee you that it's not what you think it is. And that's why I wanted to highlight this for you in today's episode. So why do we as women emotionally eat? So why do we turn to food? Why do we turn to high calorie comfort foods as a way to cope with stress and like anxiety and overwhelm and all of those kind of things? It actually acts as a distraction for us. That's why we do it. When we are stressed, overwhelmed, got too much on our plate, when we emotionally eat and turn to food, it acts as a distraction for us. It distracts our mind with food rather than having us to actually deal with what's going on. So if you think about it, like I've been there, you get home from work, you've had the worst day at work, your kids are grumpy, the cupboard's empty, you've got nothing for dinner and everything's just all over the place and you just feel so stressed and overwhelmed. So you go and grab a packet of chips or like some chocolate and you just sit there and work your way through it. We do that because it's emotional eating. We're doing that to busy our minds, okay? Because even though like it probably sounds weird, like busying my mind, you're actually busying your mind when you are like breaking off a piece of chocolate, eating it, chewing it, breaking off another piece of chocolate. You're busy, you're doing something and it's distracting your mind from how overwhelmed and how stressed that you feel. So that's why we actually lean into food and why we emotionally eat as women. Here's the thing though, there is a massive misconception that we emotionally eat because we lack willpower around food. That's what we believe. And I'm sure you can relate to this a lot, where you have turned to food for support, you've turned to food to provide you that emotional need that you are craving, and then you eat it and then you think, well, I've now turned to that food because I'm weak, because I lack willpower around food. I have no discipline, like I wasn't even hungry. Again, we don't emotionally eat to satisfy hunger. We emotionally eat to busy our minds, to distract ourselves, and as a way to cope with sadness and stress. Okay, so that's why we do it. But like I said, there's this huge misconception that we have as women that we emotionally eat because we lack willpower around food. And it's not the case at all. It's not that you don't have willpower. It's not that you don't have discipline. It is not those things at all. And here's the thing that is truly going to surprise you. So in your mind, you're thinking, I've emotionally eaten. I've turned to food because I'm having a crappy day and everything's going wrong. I'm weak, I lack willpower, what is wrong with me? I'm not disciplined enough, I'm not motivated enough. Here's the truth, and it's probably going to surprise you. Emotional eating actually does the opposite, okay? It doesn't take our willpower away and our discipline, all those kind of things. Emotional eating actually makes us feel in control when life is making us feel like we have no control. So when you are turning to food as a comfort, whether that's junk food or chips, chocolate, lollies, wine, whatever your thing is, whenever you are turning to that food for support, like I said, it's not that you're lacking willpower. When you do that, it's actually making you feel in control. Because even though that probably sounds completely and utterly ridiculous, that's actually what's happening in your brain. So when you go, I've had a bad day, I'm going to head to the freezer, I'm going to get a tub of ice cream out and a big spoon, and I'm going to sit on the couch and I'm going to eat it. In that moment, you feel in control. You feel like you've made a choice for yourself. You're doing something that you want to do. You're choosing something for yourself. And in that moment, even if it only lasts for 5 minutes, you feel in control out of a situation that you feel you have no control. Okay. So you feel like you had no control over your day today. You had such a hard time with your boss, like your kids are fighting, like there's nothing in the pantry. You've just got no time. You're exhausted. Everything around you feels out of control. When you go to do that emotional eating and when you go to take that food and sit on the couch and eat it, you feel in control. I don't know if that sounds like the total opposite, but it's actually true. So in that moment, your brain is going, cool, everything's calm for a minute. I've got my ice cream. I've got my spoon. I've made a choice for myself. I am back in control of all of this crap that's around me, all of this stuff with my sick kids and stuff at work, all these things that I had zero control around. I'm now in control because I've chosen the ice cream. I've got my spoon and I'm sitting on the couch. And like I said, it's surprising, but it's when you understand this, it completely flicks this switch for you inside of your brain. Okay, because when you are aware that you emotionally eat, when you are aware of when you do it, of how you do it, of why you're doing it, and like I said, you're not doing it because you're hungry. You are not doing it because you lack willpower. You are doing it because in those seconds, in those few minutes, you feel in control in a situation where you feel like you have none. That's why women emotionally eat, particularly teenage girls, similar situation. Okay. When they emotionally eat, it's because in that moment, when everything around them feels out of control, they feel like they have some control. Now, I really want to be super clear on this because I know that often there's a lot of misconception about this, and people will say, oh, I just had a binge and I ate too much, and like now I feel really gross and I shouldn't eat too much. Binge eating and emotional eating are not the same thing. Binge eating is a lot around shame and guilt, and you eat large amounts of food in small amounts of time, and then you feel that shame and that guilt afterwards. Binge eating is a specific disorder. It is not the same as emotional eating. So it's not the same as coming home from your bad day at work and like eating the tub of ice cream or the packet of Tim Tams or the packet of chips or whatever your thing is. It's not the same thing. With binge eating, it comes with a lot of shame and a lot of guilt. You often hide it from people. And it's when you eat a large amount of food in a small amount of time and you hide it. It's very shameful. You feel very guilty, and it is a specific disorder. So like I said, because you often hear women like, oh, I just had a huge binge, and it's not the same thing. If you've just overeaten on something or had a crappy day and you're using emotional eating as support, it is not the same as binge eating. So I just really want to make sure that there's a clear distinction between the two, because binge eating is a specific disorder that needs to be addressed and dealt with by a professional. And it is different to emotional eating. When we binge eat as women, it is about control. And in that moment, it does give us control. And binge eating can quite often come around in women as a trauma response, as a response to a significant life event, to a significant trauma that they have had to experience in their life. And that's why they turn to the binge eating, because it makes them feel in control. Again, in those few moments, it makes them feel in control. So really just want to clarify there is a key difference between the two. Just overeating and a binge eating disorder are two very different things. Okay, so we've gotten really clear so far about what emotional eating is, why we do it as women, and what it gives us. Like I said, it gives us that moment of confidence and self-control. Even if it's not the control that we want, it's still putting us in control and in the driver's seat just for those few seconds or those few moments while we are emotionally eating. So what can we do about it? Because like I said, in those moments of control, it's very quick afterwards that you start to feel like, oh, I'm weak and I had no discipline and I couldn't stick with my diet. And why did I just eat a tub of ice cream and now I feel gross? And so what can we do about it to get you out of that cycle and out of that emotional eating loop?
The Hype Girl membership is absolutely amazing. I've lost 11.2 kilos while still eating chocolate most days and all the yummy foods. You don't have to give up what you love to be healthy and happy. I absolutely love the Hype Girl community. It's a group of like-minded women who are wanting to be the best versions of themselves, healthy and happy. I feel safe sharing in the space, and it helps with accountability. All of the women in there are just beautiful, and I highly recommend joining. It's the best thing I've ever done for myself. I've been doing a lot of personal development for the last few years, but it wasn't until I joined the Hype Girl membership that I truly realised that I had been binge eating because I was restricting foods that I loved, like chocolate, and making myself feel ashamed because I'm overweight. I can't eat that. People will think I'm disgusting. Whereas now I have chocolate in the house almost all the time. My daughter loves it too. And I eat it whenever I want to, but I don't feel like it. Not all that often because I'm so satisfied with the meals that I'm eating from the Hype Girl membership. It's really, food freedom is the best feeling in the world.
Number one, you have to become self-aware. Self-awareness is your magic toolbox for your success. So many things that we do as women every single day, we are completely unaware of. They talk about your conscious and your subconscious mind. So there are so many things that you do every single day in your subconscious that you have zero clue about. So it's all shoved down in our subconscious. So what we have to do is start to bring it up to our conscious awareness so that we become self-aware of these things that we are doing every day. So think about it. What situations, what feelings, or what times do you emotionally eat? Is it always after work on the couch? Or is it after certain interactions with certain people at work? You know, you might have a boss that you don't get along with, or a colleague or something that triggers you. What situations do you find yourself emotionally eating? Is it when you get really tired, like when you're just so tired and you haven't slept and you've had so much on your plate? Do you emotionally eat out of boredom? It's like, oh, I've got nothing to do. So, there's nothing on TV. I'm not really inspired by flicking through TikTok or Instagram, so I'll just go and eat something. Do you eat out of boredom? Do you eat out of tiredness? Do you eat out of stress? Like when your woman brain and your mum brain and everything's just like on high speed and you've got so many things to think about, is that when you tend to emotionally eat and you turn to food for support? How often do you do it? Do you do it every day? Is this like a once a week thing? Is it every month? Is it only in certain occasions? The more that you can tune into this stuff, and all it takes, I've talked about this before on a podcast, but it's literally microseconds. It's microseconds where you can make a change, where you go, I'm really tired, I'm really stressed, I'm heading to the freezer to get that tub of Rocky Road choc chip ice cream and a big spoon. Open the fridge door, just stop. Have a second, literally a second. That's all it takes for you to go, wow, what am I doing? Why am I eating this? Am I tired? Am I actually hungry? Do I generally want some ice cream, or am I doing this to comfort myself? If you can do that and you do that a few times, what you're doing is you're actually rewiring your brain to think a new way. And for the first few times, you might just go, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to sit on the couch and eat it. And then the time after that, you'll stop and you'll go, oh, actually, you know what? I might just take a bit of the ice cream out and put a little bit in a bowl and I'll just have a little bit with a spoon. And that'll satisfy you. And so the next time, like each time you do it, you'll become more self-aware and you'll be able to stop yourself before you get into that emotional eating spiral. But it's really important to work out when it happens. How often does it happen? Is it around certain people? Is it on certain days? Is it like the time of the month? Is that your massive trigger? Like around, like your menstrual cycle, is that when you always emotionally eat? There is a pattern to your behavior, but it's bringing it from your subconscious up to your conscious brain so that you can start make the changes that you need. Okay, tip number 2, what do you feel out of control about? Because like I said, you eating that food in that moment is giving you control. So take a step back, take a deep breath in that moment, and in that last 7 days, what do you feel out of control of? What's happening in your immediate life, in your immediate family that you don't have control of? Is it your kids' behavior? Are your kids just being awful and you've tried everything and all the parenting hacks and all the stuff and they're still just not doing the things that you want them to do? Is it that you feel out of control around your kids' behavior? Is it to do with money? Are you worried about money and you feel out of control about money and, you're just constantly paying bills and you just can't seem to get on top of things and you feel out of control around that? Is it your partner and your husband's actions? Is that something that you've just constantly told them like what you need and the help that you need and they're just not listening, and so you just feel like you don't get a say and that you have no control? So it's really, really important that you pull back and that you work out what it is that you actually feel out of control of. What's making you feel that way? Okay, because you can say, it's fine, I'm just busy and I'm too tired, but that's not the real answer. Okay, at the core of it, that is not what you feel out of control of. Okay, is it you feel out of control because you have no time? You just feel like your time is not your own and your time belongs to every single one else, every single other person in your life, your boss, your work, your kids, your partner, like the grocery shopping, everyone else gets your time but you. Like, is that what you feel out of control of? Because the more that you can, again, tap into that subconscious and bring it to your conscious, the easier it is to change. Because if you just keep going about your days and thinking, oh, it's fine, I was just tired and I've eaten that tub of ice cream and the packet of biscuits, and you're just going to get stuck in this loop and you're going to stay stuck in that loop. You need to start becoming self-aware. You need to start bringing these things to the surface so that you can make the necessary changes, because there is nothing worse than feeling out of control around food. Nothing worse. I've been there. I know what it feels like. I've worked with hundreds of women who have been the same. There is nothing worse than feeling like food controls you. And unfortunately, when we emotionally eat, that's what happens. Okay, number 3, get a notebook, get a piece of paper, grab a whiteboard, whatever, stick it on your fridge, somewhere that you can see it, and make a list. So what can you do instead of eating to give you comfort and some feeling of control? So remember, when we eat, it's giving us comfort. It's making us feel in control. Even if we feel terrible afterwards, in that moment, it makes you feel like you've had some control and you've made a choice for yourself. So make a list. What can you do instead of turning to food? What can you do? Do you have a favorite podcast that you like to listen to? I can definitely recommend The Healthy Her as one of your top ones that you should definitely be listening to. Is it a walk? Like, do you just find that getting outside and having a walk just calms your mind? There's so much research on this too, by the way, the power of a walk. So definitely add that one to your list. Music, listen to some rainforest music, some calming music, something that can give you that sense of, okay, Everything in my world right now is spinning at 100 miles an hour, and I just need to stop. And I just need to slow down for a minute, and I just need to get off this merry-go-round of life for just a minute and just have a moment to myself. There are some really great meditation and music tracks and all of those things. And if you're not into meditation, just Google, look up on Spotify, soothing, whatever your thing is. If you like rainforest music or if you like ocean, put your AirPods in, listen to it, and it is very calming and it is very soothing. Think of your list. Think of your go-to list. Is it lighting a candle? Is it putting on your favorite Netflix show? You might be talking to a friend. There's this one friend that, you can always vent to when life's not being kind to you. So you need to have a list of go-tos and a list of other tools that you can use instead of food. Okay, because if you don't have those backup things, you're always going to turn to food. So start making your list, put it somewhere where you can see it, and start swapping your emotional eating for something else that makes you feel calm, feel centered, and like I said, just gets you off that merry-go-round of life for just a little while. Okay, number 4, patience and kindness. Emotional eating is a learned behavior. And in my experience, you can have it in varying degrees. Like it can be very bad where you are just anytime anything goes wrong, you always turn to food. Or you may have sort of more of a mild emotional eating, like I said, where it may be a specific thing, a specific person, a specific event, or something that happens in your week that really triggers you to emotional eat. So everyone's kind of has their own different, where they sort of sit on the timeline of emotional eating, but it's a learned behavior. It is a learned behavior that you need to unlearn, and your brain likes easy things. Our brains are lazy. So if for you have this repeated behavior of when life gets tough and things get stressed and full on that you turn to food as an emotional support, your brain has got the message that this is what we do. So it's easy. Okay. So your brain goes, hey, this is what we do. Jen's had a stressful day. We head straight to the pantry. We get out that packet of biscuits and we sit on the couch. If you have done that often enough times, that is what your brain thinks is normal. So you have to rewrite those brain pathways for yourself. Maybe you do go to the pantry, but maybe you just have one biscuit instead of the whole packet this time. And you might go, oh, but Jen, that's no big deal and I just want to stop doing it altogether. It's a step forward. It's success. So anything that you do different in that moment is success. So that's where patience and kindness is really, really important. And just be patient with yourself. It takes time to unlearn. It is a behavior. It is a pattern. Like I said, your brain has gotten really used to you doing that emotional eating after work every single day. So it's going to take a bit of practice for you to unlearn and to rewrite your brain pathway. So your brain goes, hey, you know what? From now on, when Jen gets stressed, instead of reaching for the food, she puts on her, relaxing playlist and she just lays on the couch and lights a candle for 10 minutes. That's my new thing. That's my go-to thing that's been working for me. You do that often enough, you repeat that often enough, you've created a new pathway in your brain and your brain goes, okay, this is what we do now. We don't reach for food. We do this instead. But like I said, it just takes practice, learning, a little bit of patience and a little bit of kindness. So if you've listened to this episode and you're thinking, yeah, I'm really going to try those things and it doesn't work the first time, please don't not do them again. Try them again. Might be the 4th or 5th time that you do it. And then you go, oh, okay, this actually felt easy and I'm really glad I didn't turn to food this time. So it does take a little bit of time and a little bit of patience. Tip number 5, and this is an important one, especially when it comes to emotional eating and overeating. Make sure that you are eating enough food throughout the day and that you have a well-balanced diet. Majority of women that I work with don't eat enough food or they don't eat a balanced diet, okay? And if you don't eat a balanced diet, and when I say balanced, I mean it's got protein, there's vegetables, there's carbohydrates, there's healthy fats, it's got all of those things that our body needs. If you don't eat a balanced diet throughout the day, you are going to be more prone and more susceptible to that emotional eating because, when you're stressed, and then on top of that, you're actually genuinely hungry, you're going to find it very hard to get in control of your emotional eating. So it's very, very important that you are eating enough food and that you are eating a well-balanced diet because that will put you in control around your food a lot more. And I always want you to remember that you're not doing this because you lack willpower. It makes you feel in control. That's all it is. When you emotional eat, you are getting comfort It is making you feel good. You are taking back control, even in that moment. Like even just that choice of choosing that food from your fridge or your freezer or your pantry in that moment is just giving you some control in a world that you feel completely out of control of. Please, please, please don't beat yourself up about it. It's just a strategy, a tool that we use to cope with stress and overwhelm and anxious thoughts and like busyness and all of those kind of things. It's just a tool we use to support ourselves. So stop beating yourself up, and all you need to do is focus on creating some new ways to cope that make you feel calm and in control. Like I said, when you feel like life is spinning, you're on this treadmill or this merry-go-round or this carousel and you just can't get off and you're juggling so many things and you just want it all to just slow down for a minute, go to your list, find a new thing that you can use instead of turning to food. And like I said, just practice it. Do it again, practice it. And I promise each time you do it, it will become easier and you'll feel so much more in control, because one of the life-changing things that I have learned from my own weight loss journey is being in control of my food. Food no longer controls me. Okay, I eat what I want to eat. I eat when I want to eat. I eat how much I want to eat. And I feel confident in my food choices. And when you stop relying on emotional eating for support, you'll never go back, because it is the best feeling ever, being in control of the food that you eat and having the confidence to know what and how to eat. I hope you found all of the aha moments in today's episode. I'm looking forward to chatting and connecting with you in our next episode of the Healthy Her podcast, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the Healthy Her podcast. If you enjoyed today's chat and found it helpful, hitting that follow or subscribe button would be amazing, because your support means the world to me. Come connect with me on Instagram @TheActiveBod for your daily dose of inspiration and for loads of new easy meal ideas. Take care and keep thriving. See you next week.